Welcome back to Veteran Idiot. I'm Art. This is Earl, and that's our big block 460 that we're going to toss into her. The time has come. It's finally arrived. Our L&L motor mounts are here. Nothing bad against L&L. Ordered them back in August. They're here. It's kind of a smaller business, so it takes them a while to get the stuff, but these are some clean looking motor mounts. They look great. I'm excited to finally get this thing in there. First, before we get into all of that, need to flip this over, change out that oil pan gasket. I've been putting it off. We'll change that out, and then we'll jump in to start pulling Earl's heart out and throwing in a bigger heart. Get some of this stuff cleaned off here. Go paint this guy. I do suspect that there's going to be a lot of stuff draining out of here. That's all right. Won't be for that long. Shouldn't be that long. Shouldn't take us long. That's what I meant to say. Oh, heavy girl. Where are you going to drip out first? Nowhere? Really? All right, let's get started. This new dipstick, can't remember who makes it. Classic something, I don't remember. Anyway, it's real nice. Real nice. It's like a steel braided with a billet handle. It's good stuff. We're gonna take these manifolds and weld them, because I don't have a welder here yet, but where the little smog ports are on it, you gotta weld the bungs. So if you look here, there's holes directly into the manifold. You can see them from the inside too. What you do is you just weld the plug inside each one of these, and then it's good to go. That'll work until we start getting some headers. All right, finally found a hole where it's came out. Okay, pan, come back. These are all pretty loose. I know that the back seal over here was leaking because it drips on the floor. All right. I hate using a screwdriver to pry these up, bend the ends of it, and then it leaks. They glued this thing down with RTV. There she goes. Like I said, I hate doing that. You're deforming a pan that wasn't deformed before. They glued this thing down so much. Oh, there it goes. That's that dipstick I was telling you about. It's real nice. Real nice. Real quick look over, nothing in the pickup. So these 460s, after a certain amount of RPM, this entire oil pump assembly snaps off. And so they make a bigger one that has a wider platform and it's seated better. I don't think we're gonna be spinning any high RPMs. I'm just building this truck for torque.
I don't believe you.
And all the torques are down at the bottom. Look this over real quick. Oh, she tight. Not super concerned about thrust either. So this thing's not doing nothing. Ooh, child, things are gonna get easier. Ooh, child, things are gonna get right. Yeet! Like, be careful with this. When these people slather this silicone like that, some of it goes into the crankcase area. You don't want to break it free and then leave it in there. It's going to get clogged up in your oil pickup, which is not a good thing. So anywhere that it's sticking over, I'm just coming through and getting it out and then picking out the pieces. Just a quick reminder while I'm doing this, today's episode is brought to you by myself. So please subscribe. Right down here. Hit that little subscribe, the little watermark in the corner there, or on the menu, anywhere you can get to it. Just please subscribe. Helps me out. Now, you don't want to overdo it here. That's not the right one. Oh, get in there. Get in there. I use this, or I'll use copper on just about every gasket. Sorry, Earl, I'll clean that up later. It helps it get tackier. Good for it. Oh, forgot to clean the pan. Oh no. Yeah, you think that's funny. Make dog food out of you. All right, it's cleaned up and set back down. I always love using that wire wheel. That way I can get all kinds of crap stuck in me just all over the place. This is taking forever. Oh. Dar she goes. Flip her back over. Ooh, feisty. All right, we're done with this guy for a little while. And we gotta yank out the heart. The trusty old 240 coming out. Ooh, what's that? The most expensive shifter ever? It's real nice though. Real nice. Hopefully it's worth it. Because I tell you what, that sucker was not cheap. It's hot rod stuff. It's kind of like car parts or normal things. Hot rod stuff is like the bougie stuff. It's like the same stuff, but way more expensive. I don't know why it's like that, but it is. Maybe because hot rod guys have more money? I don't know. But this is the only hot rod thing I'm putting on this vehicle. I'll tell you what. It costs just about as much as that engine did. So we're good. That's the expensive part. Everything else is cheap. So what we're trying to do here before we get this dabbed in is try and get all of the vacuum lines and all the plugs sorted out and carburetor and all that other business. So what I'm doing is I'm just setting up the PCV, put in the oil fill cap, and we're gonna run vacuum down to here from somewhere that vacuum is going. I think we're plugging that one. We're gonna plug that one. That's what I said, we're plugging that port for that vacuum. So we're not using that one down there, the large one for PCV. I'm putting one in here, that way the tube is back here, hidden behind the engine, rather than looping around the front and all this business. We're gonna keep a minimalist look for all this over here. But also, I found out the radiator I got, it doesn't fit between the rails over here, so I'm gonna have to figure out something with that. Might just find somebody that's got old 390 radiator or something, some big block radiator from this era that needs to be 29 inches across to mount into the factory holes. This plate comes out and then the radiator goes in. Should be pretty simple, toss in. And next issue I'm looking at is the alternator pulley and this alternator bracket I got. She don't quite line up, so I'm gonna have to figure that out too. I don't know if there's a bunch of different combinations for the crank pulley, water pump pulley, and alternator, or if I just get an offset alternator pulley, which I did a quick search and I couldn't find anything, so that was interesting. But it's gotta be something that'll work for that. Well anyways, back to this. So I'm gonna finish up getting this plug in here, route the PCV, vacuum for the distributor. That way I just gotta pull the carb off, put the plate on, lift it up, drop it in. All right, got the fuel pump in. I love that these cans still have the lobe for the mechanical fuel pump on it. Just pop this cover off, slide that fuel pump in, good to go. I need to get this off so I can get another one of these lines this size with that fitting to run down to this port. I want to keep it a hard line from there to there, and then I can do a soft line to my filter to the hard line that goes to the tank. But for now, I want to keep at least a hard line coming up to there until I get a double pumper and there's fuel lines everywhere, all over the place, some nitrous over here. Okay, that's too much. That's too much. Started digging into this carburetor here. It's real nice. Let's get it to focus. There we go. Now we got to focus. So it's bad. It's pretty bad. We'll get back at it though. Maybe we can save it. I'm pretty sure we can save it. We'll see. Yeah, that's a big old engine. It ain't, it's tiny, it's a little engine. What the heck was that? Scorpions are preparing their skydive into my hat. Guess we'll start by pulling the juice and then draining the juice and then motor mounts and transmission. That's really all there is. There's a Z-link down there, no big deal. Heater core and then coil distributor wire. But there's really not much to this engine, which is going to be great about putting that engine in, is because they're going to be exactly the same, just bigger. Maybe later we'll do a sniper EFI on that, because I'm sure that carburetor is going to be a pain in the... You know what it'd be a pain in. Going up hills, down hills, pulling things, so sniper EFI in the future. Way in the future. Okay, let's get a light and get this out. Sometimes I wonder how I keep from going under. Hopefully I find that later. So just like last time, I really don't want to pull the hood. It's just the worst thing in the world to align sometimes, so we're just going to leave it as is and yank this off through the front. Probably take this off this way. Need to get rid of these cables too. These suckers are old and they are very, very small gauge. Good thing I found a bunch of wire in this last video ripping it out of the motorhome, but that's like 2 gauge or 0 of them. It's like huge. Probably use that in the lift gate for Oscar, to be honest. As I always say, best way to keep from losing bolts, put them right back where you got them. Start draining this sucker. Ow. Oh, nothing's gonna come out? For real? Must be plugged up. I don't think it's it, and it's not empty. Interesting. That's a bummer. See if I can stick something in there. Uncork that hole. Like to save a lot of this juice. It's brand new. Oh, there it goes. Now it's flowing. It's flowing too much. Simmer down. We're spraying everywhere. All right, I'm gonna start pulling apart the front end. Cue the time lapse, Sheila. So I got most of the front end off here. The body mount bolts for the core support, they're tight, they're real tight. Threw some heat at it, didn't move. So I'm gonna have to work that one out. While my impact is charging, I'll start disconnecting all of this stuff. That way the engine's ready to yank out as soon as I get this core support off. It's mostly just this fuel, and then inside, I'm not gonna take the transmission out, I'm gonna pull it out all in one piece. So inside, to get the shifter off, you have to pull the top plate, and then there's this C-clip on the inside. And the C-clip holds down the actual shifter itself. So once you pop that C-clip, then the whole shifter slides out of the top of it, and so the transmission can come out, rather than cutting the shifter handle off to get it out. I just got another 435 sitting over there. No big deal. So anyways, so it's the exhaust transmission mount, and then the, forgot about that. So the drive shaft bolts to the transmission. So we'll undo those U-bolts and then it'll come out, and U-joint will drop down and out. Motor mounts, fuel, which fuel is just a hose, pop it off. Already disconnected the throttle cable, the choke, most of the wires, so it's just grounds now, oil pressure, and temperature. That's it. Sounded like a lot, but it's really not. It's really easy. So I'm just gonna go ahead and knock that stuff out. So just so we're clear, I didn't want to take the hood off. Wasn't easier than taking all this off. So the biggest reason why I want to take all this off is so I can get in there with the engine. Plus, the lift can go all the way back. If this is in place, the lift can't go all the way back. The arm's not long enough to pick it up. And especially when you're dropping in an 800-pound engine, you need as much forward and shorter enough arm on the cherry picker to get it down in there. And by getting rid of this core support, I free up a whole nother almost 2 feet that I can get back in there. So that's the biggest reason. It's not just because this is a pain to line up. It's getting the cherry picker all the way down in there. Come on. There you go. Or not. Also, it's easier to work on the engine when all this is out of the way, but right now it's giving me a hard time with the mounts. We'll lean over it for now, I guess. Deal with it later. So the wife told me not to sell this thing, the engine that is, because she had a dream that something was wrong with the 460 and it didn't work out. I don't know why she put that bad juju on me, but I've gone through it and I've looked at everything and everything seems to be good, and I'm not going to be running. Those things will run up to like 800 horsepower or something like that before you start needing girdles and all kinds of other stuff like that. So I don't think we're going to be anywhere near that. We'll be at maybe 300 horsepower, maybe. Should be perfect. And then I got the C6 behind it, which is nearly indestructible. I think it's going to be good. But I'm going to hold on to it for a little bit just because she was worried. And she's got pretty good intuition. But I think we're going to be good. I think we're going to be good. There's got to be some wood around here somewhere. All right, we're good. Okay, that ground is off there. One more night. Oh, I forgot it siphons. Son of a biscuit. One more night. One more round. These older vehicles, you always got to remember to keep a cork nearby when you're pulling the fuel line off. It will gravity pump itself all over the place. Oh, that was loose. What in the St. Jude's? You know what? We don't ask any questions around here. We just go with it. Watch out, Rock. Whoa. Oh, fuel is disconnected. Oh, all the stuff off the back of the alternator. All that stuff. These older alternators had like 1,200 connections on them. I'm gonna be putting a 1-wire back on. That'll be nice. Get rid of the voltage regulators, all that business. I ain't even need it. I don't need it. It's not needed. So this thing does have a resistor wire rather than a ballast resistor. So I'm gonna have to track that one down and just disconnect it from the ignition and run a hot wire over to the HEI and just leave it in place. Just leave that resistor wire in the dash itself. So we'll disconnect it and put on the new hot wire, and that's how we'll solve that problem. All right, now that temperature sensor that we just put in, it's gonna look better on the 460 anyways, so I ain't worried. All right, I think that's everything up here on the engine. Now just the motor mount, exhaust. Ooh, right size. Holy mother of Jehovah. That sucker's tight. It's tight like a toy gun. So I had well, my dad had a 473. It was a 460 bored over, and had a Super 40 series Flowmaster on it, 2 of them, and that thing sounded ridiculous. So that's what we're gonna do with this one. It's gonna get a Super 40. Might have to get that one from under stairs. Going under. Whee! Well, got everything unbolted underneath. Camera died. Sorry you couldn't see it. It was really exciting. 4 bolts and 2 bolts. Done. It wasn't very exciting. So all that's left in this guy is the front motor mount, and that Z-link will pop out. We'll work on this core support later, but as for tonight, we'll call it quits for tonight. Go in, eat some dinner, see the old lady, visit with the pups, and see you in the morning. Wake up! Wake up! Good morning. It is back for day 2 of the big block swap in Earl. Got Lord's peach juice here. Actually just finished it off, probably need another one. Where did the trash can go? Yeah. So what we got going on this morning is I need to get this core support off. I don't know why I said that with a Boston accent, but I need to get it off. And that's because I need all of this room. I need to be able to push that cherry picker all the way up to that cross member. And this bar here impedes that. And I don't want to cut this off for obvious reasons. So I need to get that core support off. Hopefully I do that without having to cut the bolts out. Even though I could just run and get some new ones. But it just makes it a lot easier to come off the right way. So I can put it back on the right way. And all those bolts are in good shape, so I don't want to spend the extra $4 a bolt these days to get grade 8 bolts to go down in those body mounts. But as you can see, it's hard to get an impact up because the frame rail blocks it. So it's not like a straight shot up in there. So far we got most of it disconnected down through here. Just need these front motor mounts and then we'll yank it out. Kick this on, start the day off right. There we go. Woo! Chilly. Where's this stuff? Let's get started. Alright, so this is not the same cap that I thought it had where you push down and pop the ball out. Some have the little C-clip in there as well, but this one is actually easier. The whole cap just unscrews and then it comes off, provided you got big enough pliers to turn it around. It just spins right off and then the lever pulls out the top. One thing I want to do actually before getting this whole thing out of here, I'm going to pull the plug on the bottom and drain this transmission, because that hole where the speedo cable goes, that sucker is just going to drain everywhere, literally cover everything as soon as I tilt this transmission forward. It's kind of like when the flange pops out of the back of the automatic transmission and it dumps everywhere. Yep, same concept. There we go, that's it. I don't want to lose this dowel down inside, so pull that out too. There we go, that's all there is to it. Now this kind of reminds me that I'm probably going to have to move the cross member, bump up the transmission, take the cross member out, because, well, obvious, it's not going to go forward on top of the cross member. So, all right, drain the fluid out of the transmission, remove the cross member, go. Alright, so now that all that's drained and everything, it's time to start yanking on this sucker. I'm going to kind of have to pick it up at an angle here to drop that top of that transmission out of the hole. Even with the cross member out of the way, it's still hitting this cross member, which is riveted in and not really worth taking all the time to take that out. So tilt it up, drag it out, and drain everything else out. Well, hopefully it's pretty empty, so I mean, that won't be an issue, but let's start yanking it out of here. I don't want to damage anything, so I'm going to strategically remove this. this thing was still hard to get out of that tunnel. Took the cover off of the hump. Still couldn't get it low enough to get out from underneath that crop member. For this particular engine, it seems that you need to turn it almost on its side to get the top of that transmission out from underneath the floor fan and over this crop member. So, finally, it's up. We can start dragging it out. Maybe. Jeez. Served me well, my friend. Served me well. That's new. Didn't notice that before. Apparently, Earl's gotten cold at some point. Boop. Boop. Popped a couple freeze plugs out. All right. Okay. Well, he survived. That's a lot of metal. A lot of metal. Well, all right. Let's put some more in. Excuse me, sir. Okie dokie, now we need to stick this in the corner back there for an indeterminate amount of time because remember, the wife is worried that that 460 is not going to work out, so need to keep this guy around. So we'll stuff him back in the corner over there and hold on to him for just a little bit. We need to get this exhaust out of here. On bolts back there in the back of things, and this Z-link's gotta come off. It's just like a clip that holds that bad dog on. It'll come right off. We're gonna leave the clutch pedal in the truck and just kind of pull it down so it doesn't sit there and rattle and all that business. So we'll leave it in place. Bing, bang, boom. We'll make things harder than they need to be, you know? Especially more expensive. Don't need to make it more expensive. Ooh, ground straps. Might have to swap that one out for a bigger one. That one's teeny-licious. So the new motor mounts, let's get these old ones out of here, as a matter of fact. Oh, how much of a pain are these gonna be? Oh, not too bad. Quit complaining and just do it. What in the ever-living hootenanny? Who did this? Break out the creeper. Somebody got oil all over this thing. Very disappointed in whoever did that. Oh, it's because I knocked over the oil in the truck. That's sad to day. That was fun. Not particularly. Ooh, there's a number 2 pencil in here. Wow. Sweet. Let's take these new mounts and see what we got. So you must scrape some of that off. Now let's do the next best thing. Put the engine in there and see where it lands. And then deal with all that. Ooh. Tell you what, feels good to get this thing off the engine stand. You ready for your new home? Whoa, whoa, whoa. Easy, easy, easy. Jeez, it's gonna get crazy. Ooh, child, things are gonna be bright. I honestly don't know why that song is stuck in my head, but I think the last time I heard it was with Guardians of the Galaxy. Alright, it looked better on the floor anyways. Cracks in this concrete are like 2 feet deep. Oh. Apologize for all these noises I'm making. This is pretty exciting to me. Coming down. Well, now. So, it may just be me, but that don't look entirely right. I think that's it, guys. I think that's the home. think that's where she wants to lie. So much room for activities. So that one needs to come back a little bit. We'll throw that bolt in. There's tons of room in here. I was surprised. There's still going to be lots of room. I need to get a spacer to get the air cleaner over this, and then I also want to do a 3-inch filter on top of that. So it looks like there's going to be plenty. All right, let's get some bolts in there. Baby Jesus. That was a pain. It is shoehorned in there and it's still touching the firewall on the back. Those little emissions things are just sticking out the back. I need to raise the back of the transmission up. That'll give some clearance on the firewall. This motor mount I had to completely loosen, and it needs to go back that way still at least a couple inches. And that's just gonna ram that side into the firewall even more. So I'm gonna need to loosen this side, see if I can't get like a half an inch or something out. At least a half an inch or something out this way, away from the firewall. Give it some room. What a pain. What an absolute pain. Thought that was just gonna be an easy drop in. Negative. It was not an easy drop in. All right, I'm gonna keep messing around with it, see if I can get it straightened out, and then we'll start plugging some stuff up on the front. The manifolds might clear, we might get lucky. That was a lot less fun than I thought it was gonna be. But now that it's in there, it's all worth it. Had to loosen up both of the cross member mounts in order to get it to drop into it. And then it was just shimmy and shimmy and shimmy and shimmy. That EGR port on the back of the head over there is right up against the firewall, and at the clearance that's but it's kind of a pain to just pull it out, because then you got to plug it, and there's this weird thread that is not standard, so you can't replace it, kind of like with the manifolds. So that's why you just weld the hole in there. But I'll clearance that some, but now it's in. I gotta flip the cross member in the back. Gotta turn it upside down. I'm gonna use the mount that came on the C6 from Coachman and drill 2 jewel holes in it, and then bolt it up that way, up underneath the frame rather on top, because it's just too high to go on top. Other than that, it is sitting where it needs to be sitting, so I can start wiring everything out, putting the fuel lines, put the carb on, run all the vacuum. Woo! This is where it gets fun. This is where it gets fun. So I'm excited. I did bend this tube. It was sticking straight up, and I think it would just be kind of weird for the heater hose to come down like this, so I bent it and forced it back. That way the heater hose comes in, and then the other one will just come right above it and into this spot. Oh, good. Looks good. Fills it in nicely. Nice. Real nice. Nice and clean. It's kind of dirty now that I got my mucky hands all over it, but reassemble. Coming right at it. Alright, so what I'm doing here is I'm going to start by going through and pulling out the stuff I don't need, like the voltage regulator. I'm gonna pull that off. And since we got one wire, this will just hook up to that post, and then that'll be it. There's nothing else. It'll excite, and then it'll charge. So start pulling that wiring out. All this thing, whole thing can go away somewhere else. I've also got these wires for the ammeter that I had in there. I'm gonna pull those off as well. I don't need them anymore. Oh, here it is right here. Ah. By the way, I gave up on those gloves. It was pointless. I was changing one every like 2 seconds. Terrible, terrible gloves. I think I go through about 7,000 zip ties in a single setting. Put them on, clip them off. Put them on, clip them off. Put them on, clip them off. There's just a graveyard of them across the shop floor all the time, which, by the way, those are really awesome for stopping the wheels on the cherry picker. I don't know if anybody has ever been a skateboarder at any point in their life, but similar disaster. And there we go. There we go. Just like that. Heater hoses done. Temperature sending unit is gonna go squeak down underneath all of this BS. By the carburetor, it's gonna tape on there. And then it's gonna just drop down in here. You probably can't see it. I'm sorry for that, but just know that I can, and I'm doing the best that I can with what I can see. And it's a lot. I can see a lot, so I'm doing pretty well. That's what it comes down to. All right. Let's hit the time lapse, Sheila. Oh man, it's been a long day. So here's where we're at. Carburetor on, plumbed for fuel. Now the pump, I need to plumb a return line, figure out how I'm gonna do that. The tank doesn't have a return line. So plumbed into the supply there. Like I said, I need to weld those manifolds, so I need to take this one off and weld them. Heater hose is hooked up. Vacuum actuator for the transmission is in. PCV is good. I need to put a cap on that sucker there for the EGR. Not needed. Coolant temp plumbed. Vacuum for the distributor plumbed. And vacuum for the power brakes plumbed. Water temperature on the gauges just to see if it'll work. I doubt it will though. Throttle cable set up. Did a little loop, come back. I'm gonna have to put a return spring on here. It doesn't have much for return, just kind of slides. And that's gonna be sketchy. Kick down is attached, actuates. That's about it. Got the fan on, obviously. I need to wipe down, it's dirty. Alternator is pretty much set up. I just gotta get some longer bolts for here to get the alignment in a belt. What I'm gonna do, so I don't have the radiator yet. I need to order one or go get one from Performance Radiator. But I'm gonna set the big one up here on the frame rails, plumb it. That way we can get it started. Can throw the starter in. It's getting dark under there though, so I don't really want to do that right now. As you can see. But so I'll throw that big radiator on there, and then we'll get it fired up most likely tomorrow. Ambitious. It's already got fuel. All I gotta do is to 12 volt to the distributor. It's got fire. Put the starter in. It's got fire. Get the fire off. Put that manifold on just so we can fire it up. Get it warmed up. Alright, well, that's the plans for now. I'm gonna get some rest. I know, I hear you. And I'm gonna feed that thing. He's been screaming at me the whole time. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Yeah, welcome back. It's the next day. Took some time to clean up the shop a little bit. Needed to clear my head. So I took the manifolds off this morning to go get the bungs welded up in the manifolds. And we snapped off a couple.
No! God, please, no! No! No!
There and there. And so I got to pull this inner fender off so I can get to these bolts. There's one somewhere right here. And then the other one's down in here. But, you know what? It happens sometimes. Before we get to all that, there's a couple things we need to go over. First is I intend to get this thing started today. So that's plan one. Second thing is it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So make sure you go out and support your local tatas. Third thing, it's the Arizona Diamondbacks are going to the World Series. That's pretty neat. First time in 22 years. That's pretty neat. Cool thing to see. So I'll be looking forward to that, and that starts in a couple days, so we'll get to watch that one. All right, well, let's try and get these bolts out. Guess you can watch. I'll throw a music montage on there for you so you don't listen to me swear at everything for 5, 10, 15 minutes, 30, half an hour, maybe an hour. Okay. Sweet. There was actually 3 of them snapped off, so I got them all out. Time to throw these manifolds on. Like I was saying earlier, all I did with these manifolds was weld up like a bung, I guess, spot weld, and plug these holes in the manifolds, and that's all it's got to do. It's really all there is to it. Just plug those, and you have successfully made regular manifolds. And we'll throw those on. I'm going to throw the starter in first, and then we'll throw those on, and we will be one step closer to firing this thing off. Woo! So I got a belt on, the alternator all wired up, the fender back in, the manifolds on, HEI wired up. Need to put some oil in it, cap off these ATF lines, or the transmission lines, and then crank her over and see if we can get it to maybe blurb a little bit. See what we got. Throw some oil in it first. See if I can do this without spilling every drop. Oh, already started spilling it. Yeah, drink it up. All that goodness. Bloop, bloop, bloop. Down the hatch. Oh, thing too. Okie dokie, dokie dokie. Let's see where we're at. Oh yeah, I'm gonna cap these. Yeah, those things are gonna puke everywhere. Won't even be able to stop it. It'll be so bad. So one, the other one's so torn apart that I need to pull it off, cut a section, put it back in, and then cap it. Then I gotta get some hose to run it all the way up here. Okie dokie dokie. We have power. Transmission's blocked off. Got everything we need. It's full of oil. Let's see if this thing will crack off. All right, let's give a crank on the key. May not, because I got a couple grounds over here. Not puking out anything yet, right? Right? Nothing yet? Nothing? Okay. Throw a little fuel down there and see what we get. If I can do this without dumping the whole thing in there. Let's see if we got power in the places that we need it to be. We got power. Nada. What is the story there? Okay, because I don't have power to the harness. Just a second. Alright, so jumps power over. Let's see if it fires. Oh man, never fails. She runs. She runs. Got a little bit of a mess to clean up. I'll be right back. I'm not going to show it to you because it's not that big of a mess, but I should probably move the camera back. Well, my friends, if there's ever a good place to leave it, that's a good place to leave it. I got like a full day and a half of cleanup to do, but never mind that. The fact that I got the big block in here and it runs and it sounds really good without even touching it yet. Haven't touched the timing or anything. Nailed it. Perfect. Well, I gotta clean it up. I think I'm gonna try and make that other radiator work. I might notch these inner fenders and just throw that giant radiator in here. It's got the cooler, it's got everything you need, and maybe save myself another $600. I can't believe it. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. As always, have fun.